Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I got to see where I am with the political comedy right now, obviously. It is an intense time. However, I think comedy is best when it's reflecting on society. So I'll probably just do what I've been doing, which is following where the news takes me. And the news today takes me to The Daily Show. They were supposed to broadcast from Milwaukee. And then after the attempted assassination on Saturday night, they changed their plans. Jon Stewart was expected to host a live show following the convention's conclusion on Thursday. On Sunday, The Daily Show put out a statement saying, "Our apologies for the inconvenience, but due to logistical issues and the evolving situation in Milwaukee, we need to reschedule our events on the ground in Wisconsin, and we'll look to make those up in the coming weeks." They're never going to make those up. Stop lying about that. The Daily Show was supposed to record from Uline Hall, hope I pronounced that right, at the Marcus Performing Arts Center in Milwaukee. Not sure what made them make this decision. I could speculate security concerns, but I found that very curious, but I'm kind of surprised that they made that move. Also, Bill Maher canceled his Sunday night show in Milwaukee. He posted on X, "It's not going to happen, I can tell you. First, they said it's going to be impossible to get to the theater because downtown Milwaukee is going to be closed off for security reasons. Maher said he wanted to go to Milwaukee anyway, and maybe things will change. I hate to cancel shows. I was really looking forward to it. Would do anything to be there, but I just can't fight this." Another possible reason is that his plane broke and he was in Minneapolis and tried to get a commercial flight, but that was not possible. So I don't know what's going on there either. Shifting gears, Ari Shaffir was on with Tucker Carlson. I don't even know where Tucker Carlson has a show right now. YouTube? Twitter? Who knows? The topic, Joe Rogan, and Ari Shaffir said, "I mean, he's the best, the amount of support he has." Ari said, "All Joe looks for in a guest is whether they are funny or not. He's just like, I'm the name, I'm Joe Rogan, so I want to put this guy on or that guy on, and if this guy's funny, I want to push him to a big platform instead of like, what's going to help me book my show?" It's interesting how he'll be. Just the casual talking of the outlawness of stand-up has helped all of us. Whether or not you've been on a show or not, he's made stand-up more popular, so now it's all just succeeding on a crazy level. You know, I thought this was interesting. Back on an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Neil Brennan spoke to Joe about Netflix specials. I had missed this. I just haven't gotten around to that episode yet. Oh, by the way, top of mind, Tom Segura had on Jon Stewart. It's probably a month ago, but it's a pretty good listen if you want to check that out on Two Bears, One Cup. Is that called? That one? Anyway, the gist of the problem with a Netflix special, and I hadn't thought about this before, very interesting. In a live event, comedians are able to build up to the jokes instead of shortening the jokes and reaching the climax faster. The point being, in a live event, the audience doesn't wander off. On Netflix, you can hit click. Today's Will Ferrell's birthday. Happy birthday, John Will Ferrell. Cider caught up with Sam Morell, and they were curious, what's the deal with comedians starting their own liquor brands? And I love this. Sam said, well, who else is there? There's not many. There's Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura have a vodka. Mark Normand and I have whiskey. And then who else is there? And Decider said, Jim Gaffigan just came out with his own bourbon. If you listen, you know I'm a big fan of Jim's bourbon. So Sam said, he copied us. You got to talk to Jim about that. Like, I love Kreischer and Tom because they were like, we don't want to step on their toes. We'll go clear spirits. Gaffigan didn't seem to care. It started as some limited edition thing, and now I think he's going all in. And we're like, all right, he sent me a bottle. I'm not promoting it. If it was clear, I'd promote it. Sam, why did you and Mark Normand do your deal with Bodega Cat? Sam said, Mark and I are old drinking buddies. That's why we started a drinking podcast that is called We Might Be Drunk. When we were young comics, that was the premise of the show, was that drink at the end of the night where you never get to see your friend because that's what happens. At first, you get to hang out and drink all the time when you're an open micer, but then we started hitting the road, and that would turn into like 1 or 2 nights, and all that catching up is caught up in one night, and every time it'd be like, all right, we should go, one more drink, and then that one more drink turns into like 6 more, and we were like, oh, this is going to be a rough Tuesday, because a Comedy Cellar would just stay open, and it'd be blackout curtains, and you're like, I don't know what time it is, and you leave at 6 a.m., so we ended up doing a drinking podcast, and we talked about all these celebrities who have their own liquor, and like, it was cool to have your own liquor, and Mark's like, too bad we can't do that. Wait, why can't we do that? We have listeners who run distilleries. I bet you have a good listenership of drinking people, service industry people, distillery people, and sure enough, we got hit up by so many people, and it went from there. If you want to do something, there are ways to do it. You might have to do a little bit more of the work, and it might be annoying, but I'll tell you, sometimes you go with the bigger people, and they don't know how to do the do-it-yourself type stuff, and they could use a little more of that, you know? When things are all buttoned up in corporate, sometimes there's 40 people on an email and nothing gets done. Oh, my goodness, boy. I'll tell you, having worked at some big broadcast companies, I've worked at a mom and pop, and now I've got my two-man shop here in the basement. Two-man shop is the easiest. Mom and pop is the second easiest. The big corporation, yep, 40 people on an email. Nothing gets done. I hear you, Sam. And when it's just you have to make sure it gets done. So, there's benefits to do it yourself, but also to a point, it can be stressful both ways. Nikki Glaser was on the Jimmy Kimmel-less show last week. Kumail Nanjiani was the guest host. Nikki started talking about going to see Taylor Swift and said, I was on a break from tour and I was seeing Taylor Swift. That's what I do with my free time. I was following Taylor around Europe. Europe just happened to be there when she was there. When I have weekends off from my own tour, I fly to go see her. She compared herself to a divorced dad doing his best to see his daughter. Nikki says she's been to 17 shows in 15 months and has never taken a bathroom break in any of the concerts. An average Taylor show is around 3.5 hours. Nikki said, for me, it's either that or cocaine, and luckily, I can afford both. Ricky Gervais is working on an animation about cats. Untitled show. We'll see Ricky reunite with several stars of Afterlife. Ricky said, we started it, and it's going to take a long time because it's animation. It won't be finished until later this year. I don't think there's anything like it. I did animation because I thought I'm getting old now, and filming is a hard slog. I thought, animation, that's easy. It's not. I've been a fool. So this morning, I was at the National Donuts chain getting my coffee, and Evil Bill Engvall sitting there in the corner. And I almost said hi to him, and then a couple things. I'm like, one, I don't actually know Evil Bill Engvall, and two, perhaps even more importantly, he doesn't know that he's Evil Bill Engvall. He's, in his life, he's just a guy at Dunkin' Donuts, and this guy comes in with a baseball hat every morning around 7 a.m., So I have to remember, I don't know the man, but Evil Bill Engvall was there this morning. Did you check out The Artist, A Killer's Canvas? That's the new podcast from the Calaroga Shark Network about a serial killer. You definitely want to check that one out. Also, all this political stuff, if you like it with some snark, pay attention to Ballot. That show's been in a real nice groove since the debates. The whole Biden stuff last week, now we've got the Republican National Convention. The stuff over the weekend, clearly not funny, but Ballot did find a way to make a joke about it. And that joke was, and I was involved in the writing on it. So we were trying to figure out, how do you cover this and be a smartass but not be a douchebag about it? And we found that the Asbury Park Press went with the headline, "This was real. Stars of the Jersey Shore react to Trump shooting." And we're like, oh, okay. So the joke that came out of that was, when the situation gets serious, the situation gets serious. Ballot, wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, I want to talk about the audio chain, too. I mentioned last week I got a new MacBook because the keyboard on the old MacBook broke, specifically the letters C, D, and E. All of those appear in my last name. C also appears in commands such as Control-C for copy. So it was getting really hard to make any shows. I bought a new MacBook, and I haven't totally gotten the audio chain back to match what I used to have. I had a step. There's a program called Auphonic that I would use to level the audio as the last step. And the Auphonic program doesn't run on these new M3 chips that Apple has, so I have to figure out a way for that. So if the audio has been like a little different, that's what's going on there. Let's hit Gossip Corner. Pete Davidson spotted in Yellow Springs, Ohio. You know who's often spotted in Yellow Springs, Ohio? Dave Chappelle. Well, somebody on Facebook captured them both in the same photo. We see Pete Davidson walking next to Chappelle with a large smile on his face, both of them wearing all black outfits with white shoes. Mariah said she saw the comedians walking across the street from Peach's Grill and said she and her husband briefly exchanged pleasantries with the two while driving by. Wait, it's one thing to like walk down the street and be like, oh, hey, Dave, hey, Pete, hey, how you doing? Great. It's another thing to kind of, slow down, roll down the window, hey, Dave, and then they nod back and they go, hey, and they go back to the counter. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I'm speculating. I'm making things up. But the story does say briefly exchanged pleasantries with the two while driving by. Chris Kattan is getting a podcast. This one's called Idiotically Speaking with Chris Kattan, a weekly comedy and variety podcast. It'll launch July 24th and feature guests chatting with Chris and his co-hosts Andy and Joseph, and then participating in an improv comedy scenario. The podcasting executive in me noticed that the story says they signed Chris Kattan to a multi-year contract. I don't know what to read into multi. Let's assume it's at least 2. Multi-year to me suggests 3, but let's say it's 2. That's aggressive, guys. Some of the guests on Idiotically Speaking will include Fred Armisen, Dana Carvey, Rachel Dratch, Tim Meadows, Bobby Moynihan, Chris Parnell, and Cecily Strong. So it sounds like this is playing on the same corner that the Dana Carvey and David Spade podcast is playing on. Chris Kattan said, Andy, Joey, and I are incredibly excited to launch the show. It's such a joy to interview old friends, reconnect, and chat about our journeys from our days on SNL to our lives today. And we can't wait for fans to hear the hilarious new sketches we're cooking up with these comedy legends each week. And that is your comedy news for today. All right, go download The Artist, A Killer's Canvas. Download it. Come on, do it. And if you would like this program without commercials, if you're on Apple, click the banner. No commercials, 30-day free trial. At least go for the 30-day free trial. If you're not on Apple, say you're on Spotify or you have an Android phone, go to the link in the show notes, which is caliroga.com/plus. Don't forget to check out Ballot, the political podcast with some snark, and I'll meet you back here tomorrow.